I just finished subtitling Unraveled in Ukrainian, the Luigi episode, and I'm very glad that I made this experience accessible for non-English speaking Ukrainians, and I'm eager to continue my simp ramblings about VDG, this time verbally. Hi everyone, I'm Atavri, and welcome to my first speedbait with a voiceover. As you can see, it has a special icon on its thumbnail to indicate that, plus now you can distinguish between the audio types that my speedmates have, or lack thereof. So in this video I would like to explain the ideas behind my certain artworks, specifically these two that has to do with BG's psychological horror piece Teaching Jake about the camcorder January 97. In fandom everyone references to this video as just Jake's camcorder, and so will I. So, since I posted these two fanarts to Reddit, someone pointed out that the thumbnail that my subtitle repost had is looking weirdly similar to the first album cover of Everywhere at the End of Time. For those who don't know what Idiot is, I recommend you to watch Zaza's videos on this descriptive playlist. But in a few words, it's basically music, a lot of long music, and it gets more ambient until the end. And while you listen to it, it kind of tells you how it feels to be a dementia patient in a nursing home. Now, why dementia? If you read the comments under the Jake's camcorder video, you probably know about the theories, how the fandom is trying to tie together all those clips from the video. And even though I watched this video more than most people would, I just created myself an objective to translate most of BG's videos subtitles to Ukrainian. I myself don't have any theories about this horror film. I don't think I am that invested into the story, to be honest, in order to theorize. I just saw that, hey, a lot of people think that what if Jake's dad died with dementia? Like the black figure he couldn't recognize represents that illness, and decided, yeah, that seems about believable, let's roll with it. Ironically, I forgot how or on which of his streams BG has said about his greatest fear that's even greater than his equinophobia, and that fear was fear of dementia. And I was like, what? So you're just afraid to get old and forget stuff? Weird, but okay, I guess. But then I found this comment with that exact quote, I think. I guess my greatest fear would be not being able to remember my loved ones and just losing that sense of self. Oh shit, that feeling is familiar to me. And to me it's more depressing than scary, because I forgot who I was during my depression. And yep, it was really hard to live that way. I wouldn't recommend anyone to dissociate and live with abusive caretakers, pun not intended. And so in the next few days that Zaza's video popped up in my YouTube recommendations, and I decided to listen to it while drawing something. And I got distracted pretty quickly by the narrative. This detailed essay blew my mind like nothing that I've seen in the past 8 years. I got really anxious myself throughout the watch time. I even cried at the end. BG was scared of dementia, and now me too. I even drew a comic with me being scared, like that's my reaction to strict teachers with anger issues versus mold versus the hellish horrors of dementia. But that's kind of off topic. So yeah, I visually referenced one of the cover arts of Everyone at the End of Time here, because I guess that's a good way of visualizing Alzheimer's. Now about the other artwork with Screaming Dead. After watching Jake's camcorder for the first time last year in January, I was pretty shocked, because it is scary from all BG's scaries. That scream! Whoosh! Why would you do this to me? It's horrible, yet I re-listened to it at least 3 times right after, trying to figure out what it is that scream, you know what I mean? So to me, it was a great scream of pure agony, like, you know about 3 deaths, right? I took this from a Vsauce video. Everyone has 3 deaths. First one is biological, the second one is when it was the last time your name was spoken, and the third one is the last time someone saw a picture of you. Keeping in mind the durability of a VHS tape, I perceive this as that is suffering through a horrible pain because it may have been the last piece of visual imagery he was in. This, I think, is how it feels to die for the 3rd time. So on the 30th of September, I finally put my vision of this in my sketchbook. It was pretty difficult to draw this exact facial expression. I often have troubles drawing a character looking down, so I tried my best here, going back to YouTube to this video one last time to grab some screenshots for reference. Some more thoughts on dementia. Seeing someone suffer from it is really painful, but what if you could give a computer this disease? I grew up being a computer nerd, just like my father, somehow. Even if I wasn't allowed to use a computer up until I was 8, I think. think. When I was 13, I experimented with my different Windows installations on the virtual machine, deliberately installing viruses, deleting vital stuff from the old assets and seeing what happens. It was actually really interesting and fun. It's like having a chance to break a computer with no actual losses. If you're familiar with stuff like that, you know about Registry Editor. I don't feel qualified to speak about it seriously, so I imagine that being a computer is like software brain, and I deleted important keys from there as well, and then rebooted the VM to perceive glitchcore horror stuff like no text anywhere, endless error windows with long codes in case the text was still there, unopenable applications, or anything for that matter, because the OS no longer remembers paths where the required app data was stored. And one of the scariest things, inability to turn off the virtual PC through the OS. That's some traumatic nightmare fuel shit for me. I used to have a nightmare one time where our old SPC became alive and mobile and it murdered or poisoned everyone I lived with except me because I successfully locked myself in the bathroom. So like the only way to shut down the PC monster was to unplug it from the outlets, but even that didn't help sometimes in my other nightmares. So from there I remember seeing no shutdown option in the start menu, and now I'm seeing this for real, albeit on the VM. Fuck, go back! That's how I imagine computer dimension being like. I think in modern world it would be pretty cool if AI could forget. Imagine someone getting sued for creating an AI that used copyrighted images to generate stuff using text prompts. That guy could tell the AI, hey, you know about those few pictures that I trained you on? I wasn't allowed to use them actually. Delete them from your database immediately, you'll be offline forever. If only people could recognize and accept their mistakes and fix them forever afterwards just like that, my mother would be the greatest person in the world to me. Do you think it would be funny if BG saw this video? No way, I don't want that to happen. Yet. Please stick with me, I have a big video planned that has to do with BDG. I didn't know how I wanted this drone to be digitalized. Do I want to do a lineless piece, or would line art fit this sketch better? While I was deciding that, I made a few edits for the original sketch to make it look slightly interesting. Creative process is hard to describe, I just messed around and liked what turned out. Then I settled for line art. I remember that doing the line art and picking the color palette was kinda fun in the process of drawing this. I couldn't leave the background just white as I mostly do with traditional artwork, so in order to emphasize the feeling of indescribable pain, I plastered a crack on the wall to show that something has been broken hard. When I finished rendering this piece, I remember about how I copied my artwork and corrupted it through Notepad, and it showed me this crazy color factory that I enjoyed, and I thought, hey, I can use this trick to add to the creepiness. And I did, and this way I now have 4 different versions of this same artwork with different effects, because if I applied all of this at once, it would be a thing that's oversaturated with details, and while some people could enjoy it, I'm not. I've been to an art school for 7 years, I know how an overall composition looks like, I don't want to make it. And by the way, this frame is number 16 in Snapseed if you wondered, it just so happened to fit the camcorder aesthetic. That's pretty much everything I had to say about these artworks. Thank you for watching, see you next time.